I mean, 2015 was a year of thought leadership. There was a lot of talk. I mean, I think there was some execution, maybe on the buy side, more on the buy side. But, you know, from the supply side, the broadcasters, you know, I think they have a lot more at stake. So they're being much more careful of how they approach, you know, quote unquote programmatic TV. So, you know, for us, and I think for the industry, it was a lot about thought leadership. It was a lot about building relationships. You know, for us, we established a relationship with Clipped and TiVo to create that link solution. And it was a lot of talking to the broadcasters, the media owners, saying, hey, listen, what's the solution that you need, you know, for, you know, what's coming up here and you know, what's going to address your problems here. And so I think 2016 actually is the year of execution, which is nice. I think, you know, turning it from a cost center to maybe generating revenue will be real nice. And, you know, for 2016, we'll have a couple things going on.
What does that mean? So tell us what those activations mean.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be announcing our first clients, and those will be broadcasters. Those will be, you know, those media owners who will be, you know, managing media with a link solution that's both, you know, digital and linear, right? And those are two separate worlds right now, but building that link solution with our partners like Clipped and TiVo, I think that's one thing, but you also see some announcements from us in Europe with some set-top box activity and actually advertising on TV, but through the set-top box. So we're really excited about it, and I think that, you know, for us, it's going to be huge. But 2016, it's going to be really kind of a foundational year. We're going to be looking to growth, you know, in the outer years like 17, 18, 19, but we'll be generating revenue from it in 16.
So, what are sort of the issues that you're facing with the broadcasters that you feel you kind of have a handle on? It's a big, you know, there's a lot of inertia. I mean, it's a legacy business.
Yeah.
But how are things moving, and what is the roadmap in the United States and perhaps in other parts of the world?
It's definitely all different. And I think one thing that, you know, we continually have to remind ourselves is that, listen, we started SpotX in 2007, and we really didn't get going, you know, with programmatic until 2011 and 2012, right? And that's when it took off. So, you know, now we're talking about institutions that have been around literally for 50, 60, 70 years and been selling one way that whole time. So, you know, I think what we're running into there is that, you know, on the one hand, they have business models that are getting disrupted, right? Consumers clearly are watching more content via digital means, and they're enabling that. But how do you balance that out with a monetization piece? And so when we talk about programmatic TV, I don't even like the word programmatic, right? We're just talking about technology enabling them to sell both of those audiences and maintain parity between the two and be able to shift ad dollars back and forth based on where the consumer's tuning in. That's going to take I think a long time for the supply side, you know, the media owners to really adopt that, right? Because again, if they make mistakes, they're going to lose a lot of money because obviously they make all their money from broadcast right now.
So Mike, you guys have had a big year through the acquisition by RTL. So tell us about the scope of SpotX, that you have a new name, but clearly you're playing on a bigger stage than you had been. Where do things stand globally? Where do you hope they go in this year?
Yeah, I mean, 15 was an awesome year, right? So we hit everything we wanted to hit in terms of goals. Internationally, we expanded quite a bit. From a product perspective, we really expanded our services in terms of what we're providing and, you know, what we believe is a modern ad server out there. You know, RTL, as you point out, it's the first year, first year that, you know, we were partnered with them. And we wanted to accomplish two things. I remember sitting here a year ago with you and announcing this deal and talking about it. We wanted to get into Europe, and we wanted to get closer to TV. And so we think we've really, you know, at least, you know, set the foundation for those. This past year we opened Amsterdam, so our Benelux office, which also addresses the Nordics. And then our JV in Germany, which, you know, both of these offices are sizable. They're not just symbolic. And then of course we got the UK office. So from a penetration in Europe, I think we're starting to check that box. Closer to TV, of course, their investment in Clipped gets us much closer to TV, being able to provide that link solution I've talked about. So what does that mean for 2016? I think for 2016, like, where are we going? And as you point out, yeah, we are a major player now. We just added 74 people last year, so we're up to almost 300 people. We're starting to work all over the globe, and we're working with major broadcasters, major media owners. I think it's a continuation. 16 is a continuation of that, right? Internationally, I think the same announcements you saw in Europe, we're going to be making all throughout Asia. We'll be making some early announcements here actually in the next week or two about our Asian expansion. I'm really excited about that, area of the world. And then programmatic TV, as I said, I think you'll start to see some really good announcements working with those broadcasters. And then finally, I think the big thing for 16, at least I think, is OTT, connected TV, right? TV OS, Apple TV. We saw just over the holidays traffic triple from Apple TV. That means a lot more people are buying them, and I think it's just fantastic. And I think that inventory is really desired by the advertiser side. So, I mean, we're ecstatic about that.
Yeah, just and briefly a little bit more on the buy side. How does that developing brands, agencies, their willingness, interest, the buy side, how do you see that shaking out?
Yeah, the buy side has been cautious. I think this last year was really interesting, right? I think 2014, you saw a lot of talk about viewability. In 2015, you actually saw execution against achieving high viewability. And that actually hurt a lot of publishers out there. And I think you'll continue to see that in 16, although the industry adjusts and everything's fine. Advertisers are focused more and more on quality. I think the biggest change that I've seen over the past year, really with the buy side, is that shift from buying in open marketplaces, which of course we love, because it's a big part of our business, but shifting to private marketplaces, which we also love. But in a year, it went from pretty much zero on our side, 0%, to 40% of our business being executed on private marketplaces. And the reason is buyers want more control and they want to buy directly from the supply side. So I think that's a good development because they get more control. Once they gain trust and buy the inventory they want, those ad dollars flow. I think for us, the other thing that we announced at the end of last year that I think we've seen tremendous growth on just in a month, which is called curated marketplaces. So curated marketplaces is really this concept of providing scale to private marketplaces. So if you're a buyer and you go buy from 50 different publishers, do you want to have 50 deal IDs? Of course not. So on our side, what we do is bundle all that into one deal ID, and they can execute their buys against just that one deal ID. It seems small, it seems nuanced, but we've already seen of that 40% private marketplace, 15% of that shift to this curated marketplace. So it's huge for buyers who are looking for specific audiences, but not looking to kind of get all the calls from a marketplace that sees 7 billion calls a day. So I think those are the trends you'll see on the buy side, is just that continued migration to buying directly from the suppliers, but using programmatic to execute that.
And finally, Mike, you're an entrepreneur. You've built a business. It must be exciting. What's it like at this point, having a big owner and seeing this opportunity, and where does sort of the entrepreneurial spirit bring you right now?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, actually. And people ask me that a lot, particularly people I work with. They're worried, right? Oh, I'm going to leave, what have you. But to be honest, I'd say a couple things. One, RTL has been a great partner. They allow me to run the business. They want me to run the business. Whereas I think you see in our peer group with a lot of the acquisitions, a lot of those guys got acquired, which is great. They did very well, but a lot of them have left. I think for us, our executive team is still in place. We're still motivated, and we still have these pretty big goals to achieve. And I think you'll continue to see that, and I think that's why we continue to gain market share, because it's just our people. And I'm super proud of all our team And for me, I hope, Andy, I'm sitting here 10 years from now with you interviewing as SpotX CEO, because I'm totally motivated and I love it. And God, I don't want to start another company. That takes a lot of work.